You called at 3:30 a.m.
Was half asleep, lol. Let's play it again.
You called at 3:30 a.m. Was half asleep, lol.
I'm just having a little fun with that message with Google Translate. I don't know what got into me today. But anyway, good evening, everybody, on this Saturday. I'm getting the UTM virtual machine loaded up so we can play the Way Sorry edition of Sorry Now. The White Sox played against the Blue Jays today. I mean, there were a lot of things that happened today. So let's get to that right now. Of course, the White Sox is the first thing that we will be. We were defeated by the Blue Jays today. The final score was 7-1. And of course, we'll have another game tomorrow afternoon at like 12:30. But actually, tomorrow afternoon I'll be set to, go out for lunch, like one of the only lunch days. Keep cool in the heat. Well, if that couldn't be obvious enough, this is what the weather's like right now here. Wow, 91 degrees right now. Feels like 101. And here's the extreme, that's the gale warning. Here we go. This is the extreme heat warning that's still in effect until midnight on Monday. That's right. 101. And over these next few days, it's certainly not going to be any better. Yeah, 97, 97, 98 on Monday. Look at all these heat readings. Oh, of course I am staying cool as much as I can here. I've had a few glasses of water today. And I'll show you. We pulled some weeds from between the fences. That was literally the first thing I did right after I woke up. It was like 9:30 this morning, and that was like the only time I had to do it, because later in the afternoon, of course, it would end up this warm, this hot, I should say. I mean, it's still hot back at my home, but it's not as bad. And of course I have my fan. Well, not this fan specifically, or this fan, but the fan in here. I've had this fan running since I came here, and of course that's been keeping me cool. And then once again, there's my Dell computer, which I was discussing yesterday that I'm going to replace Windows with Linux on it when I get home, right before I put that Optiplex into service. But yeah, the weather radio stream I had running is not running because it's wasting up the 8 gigs of RAM that this thing has, and that's the maximum it can go from the research I did. So yeah, I highly doubt 8 gigs of RAM is acceptable for an OS like this on a piece of hardware that was not designed for it. So that's why I'm going to put Linux on it when I get back. I'm just going to wipe 23H2 off of it and just throw Ubuntu on there instead. But of course, thankfully, the power is still on, because I heard some parts of Philadelphia was without power from the severe weather, and then came the extreme heat over there. I hope everybody there is keeping cool. And yep, there's my beautiful wallpaper that I put together the last time I was here. But anyway, of course, a lot of things was going on. A lot of stuff was going on with me. Well, I'm actually not set to lose power, thankfully, because we've already had the severe weather happen. I mean, that was on, when was it, Wednesday? Yeah, it was Wednesday when we had the severe weather, and of course, I didn't get much. Yeah, and I didn't get too much of it, thankfully. But I was actually caught in one of the non-severe storms that was spawned, that formed from the weather event. And I was actually talking about that on Wednesday night when I came back from Downers Grove, as some of you may remember. But now what else was happening after we ended our little sorry thing last night? Well, I did get caught up further on the severe weather event in North Dakota. I heard there was actually a large tornado somewhere in the state. I heard there was a large tornado in the state. So I hope everybody there is okay. And I just hope the damage isn't that bad. But I don't know. We'll have to see what the final damage is. The final damage counts are as soon as the data becomes clear. So yeah, I was following on the severe weather in North Dakota last night, and after I got the JFK automated thing, which, well, I don't want to go further into detail on that. But yeah, after I got that, went off to bed and called it a day. And then of course I got back to playing catch up with everything in the morning. So yeah, then I got back to everything in the morning. After I was tasked to pull the weeds from the fence, in between the fences, of course. And then that's when I played the catch-up game. I had some panini sandwiches for lunch today. They were good. I mean, they were good. A combination of cheese, some meat, some turkey, and then some chopped up apple and some raisins were thrown into the mix. That's what made it very good. I see Chicopee lost power. I am mixing my words up already. But yeah, he lost power because of the wind. And I hope he did fine in that. So, of course, in between this morning and lunch, I did take care of the county requests, and those are already up. And then after that, I took care of the Street View video. From the results of the polls, the winner in the Street View video that was chosen was Pulaski Road. I mean, it did go well when I made it, but then after the first video was made, I had noticed that I didn't zoom in the video clips. I didn't zoom in the video clips far enough. Which, as a result, I had to remake the whole thing. But thankfully I didn't have to do any sort of trimming, so I just copied over the entire description, changed all the video IDs on the other videos that I did, other descriptions that I've modified on the connecting videos. And then after that, Pulaski was all set. So now the Street View video is all set and ready to go. It's already up for you all to enjoy. And, yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and join it on the HP. There's not too much stuff running on it right now. Yeah, there's not too much stuff running on it right now, so I'll have to see how the Optiplex does when I put Windows 11 on it. Which, as I've been discussing, I've already retired the Dell Vostro, the Latitude, and that ProBook, all from regular service. So all I just need to do now is bring up the accessories that go to the Optiplex, restore the hard drive to the Windows 11 image that Dell has on their servers, and then it'll be ready to go into regular service. So from my accounts with that Inspiron right now, what I am looking to do with it is just move over the WeatherScan network over to there and have that serve as a WeatherScan PC instead, because when I tested out just the WeatherScan on the HP computer, which of course only has 8 gigs of memory, that one was actually performing pretty well. So that's what I'll do. I'll just move the WeatherScan over to that computer, and that will be a WeatherScan PC. My radio station will continue to run on my old machine, the Dell Inspiron desktop with 12 gigs of RAM. By doing so, that will allow Asmara to run with more memory widely available, which I think this is a great move. Although I personally think that Optiplex could benefit from a RAM upgrade. I mean, I'm still kind of on the fence of deciding whether or not I want to give it 16 gigabytes of RAM and double it from the 8 that's in there right now. But what I think 8 gigabytes might do, what I think 8 gigs will do for now. So I did see that was a 3060 small form factor desktop that my father's school got rid of. And I think they could be getting rid of the micro version too. Oh, I can't remember. I haven't even looked at the specs of it in a while, so maybe I'll have to look at the specs of that PC and see. Yeah, look at the specs of that PC and see if that would meet my needs. I'm pretty sure that PC would. But you know what I'm thinking I could do? Maybe I could just take the 8 gig RAM stick from that PC and just throw it into that small form factor computer, and then I'll end up with 16 gigabytes. I think that would work. So then I can make it, then I can give it 16 gigabytes of RAM. But then the only question is, how am I going to be able to transport it home and then have the memory stick still work? That's the big question. So that's the big question. So
time to get out my keys.
I'll probably just do some more research on it and see.
It ain't over till it's over.
So yeah, that'll probably just take that one stick of 8 gigabytes of RAM out of there, and well, if it is DDR4, then I'll just use that same stick of RAM on that PC and give that Optiplex 16 gigabytes instead of 8. Which, I mean, that, as I've said, that would benefit it even more. So then it would really be a more professional PC. So then I can do more stuff with it, such as putting up a secondary WPLD NDEC, and also, such as setting up a secondary WPLD NDEC, and furthermore, I could run the WeatherScan on there at the same time. So then both of those could allocate the massive amount of the decent amount of RAM there is. Because more particularly, I've seen that Asmara and Rainmeter hate each other, so I can't really seem to have those two applications running correctly well at the same time, especially on that Inspiron. So yeah, I don't think Windows would be a best fit for that Inspiron 5520 anymore, so I'll probably just throw Linux on there and it'll be running that for the foreseeable future. Or I could take my I could bring my other Dell, my old Dell, Inspiron 5700, back into service and just use that, because that has 12 gigs of memory as opposed to 8. But the only problem, though, is the size. That's a 17-inch laptop, which is going to be really big. So the question is, how am I going to fit that, my current laptop, and that HP in at the same time? I'll probably just do it like I'm doing with the old Inspiron, just keeping it separate from the cases and all that.
Come on, walk it off.
Now, of course, we'll walk it off.
I can't believe you did that.
I'm not speaking to you for the rest of the game. But yeah, I'll probably do some more research on that
Hey,
micro
since you're in
and
the neighborhood,
see what I can, see if I can give that other one, see if I can give it a RAM upgrade. 'Cause yeah, I've been thinking, do I spend the money on Crucial RAM, or do I just take the RAM out of that micro and out of that Optiplex micro and just use that in that small form factor desktop, so then it would have more memory? Yeah, I'll probably give that machine a RAM upgrade later on down the line. But for now, I'm fine with it with 8 gigs of memory. And I've also discussed that Optiplex does not have any sort of wireless capability whatsoever. And I've further proved it by researching unboxing videos of other Optiplex models from not just from that time period, but also from the present day too. Yeah, for the present day as well. And all of those Optiplex models, the base models, do not seem to have any sort of wireless capability, well, by default, because the wireless card you could put in separately, and I've seen you could also put an NVMe SSD in there along with a SATA hard drive or SATA SSD. So if I have a spare if I ever find a spare NVMe SSD, I'll probably just throw that into the computer and then have the SATA hard drive serve as like the storage. You know, just have the NVMe SSD serve as the Windows internal storage, and then have the other hard drive, the SATA SSD, serve as the storage device, you know, where I can store stuff and whatnot.
Oh, no,
But I can't do that because all the pawns are out. So yeah, the current plan. Oh yeah, and then furthermore, the only other thing we're looking to do tomorrow is go out to Chili's for lunch. I haven't been there in a long time, so actually quite a while. I'm looking forward to going back. And I'm looking to have one more round of paninis tomorrow as well. That's for dinner. I don't want to use up the rest of the supplies that we have. So, the current plan for right now is on Monday, hoping to get back home in time to start Minecraft. If we don't, we'll either start it late or we'll just cancel it altogether for the week. But then Tuesday is when everything is going to return to normal. We'll do Roblox that day. Wednesday we'll do the weeklies from home. Thursday, of course, backyard baseball. And then on Friday of next week, that is when I am looking to bring that Optiplex into service. Yeah, when I'm looking to bring that Optiplex PC into service. So as I've said, right now, I'm fine with it with 8 gigs of memory. But then,
Right into the safety zone.
If I feel like going with the micro as well, I'll probably just switch the memory out of both PCs, and maybe I could use them interchangeably. So
Roll out the blue carpet. Blue gets all the good moves.
yeah. So that's the big question. We'll see how it does with 8 gigs of RAM with just that one thing.
Oh well.
And if it doesn't like it, then and then when I get the RAM upgrade, then I'll set up the Windows subsystem for Linux on there, and then it'll serve as a secondary WPLD NDEC, and it will also serve as the WeatherScan PC. Well, of course, there'll be the WeatherScan computer immediately when it goes into service. So pretty much from the other PC, I'll just transfer the WeatherScan information over to that computer. I'm still debating as to whether I want to keep that 1 terabyte SSD in there. I'll probably keep the 1 terabyte SSD in there. It'll give me much more room. So that's probably what I'll do. I'll just keep the 1 terabyte drive that's in there already. So, but the biggest sell-off about this PC is that when I showed you, it has an 8th generation Intel processor, which is the minimum. This is actually the minimum processor that will support Windows 11. So, with Windows 10 support ending in just a few months, there's only 4 more months of security updates left for Windows 10, and then after that, that's it. Unless you pay $30 for another year, which is not the route I'm going to go, because, as you all know, I've already made the switch on my main PCs. I've already made the switch to Windows 11. I did in 2023, so that was 2 years ago. So I've made the switch then. And I found a video from Britech this morning too. Was it this morning or was it yesterday? Well, at whatever time it was. He actually made a video how the May optional bug fix update for Windows 11 24H2 finally stabilized the operating system, finally stabilized Windows 11 24H2, along with adding a bunch of new features and enhancements to it. So now I do not seem to have noticed those enhancements yet on my HP laptop. I have yet to find those out on my Dell PCs, but in fact I'm actually going to find that out for sure when I get Windows 11 going on that Optiplex. But the question is, what image is Dell hosting? That's the question. Are they still hosting 23H2 even though it only has 5 months left of updates? Or are they hosting 24H2 now? I'm sure they're most likely hosting 24H2. But, so regardless of that, that'll be the version I'll get installed and set up. But I heard that Microsoft's May update might have finally stabilized 24H2 to some degree, but I will have to actually see that for myself. But mainly that stuff he discusses in that video was targeted for gamers. You know, gamers that use Windows 11. But of course, you know, I'm not like a heavy gamer. But then furthermore, toward the end, he mentions that about the upcoming end of servicing for 23H2, and he says, make a plan now to go to 24H2 or skip it entirely. The plan is, for right now, I'm going to stay with 23H2 on my main PC. I'm going to stay with 23H2 until the weekend before its last update is made. And as soon as that last update is released, of course, that will be the last update it gets, and then no more updates after that. So that weekend before its end of servicing date, which is, I believe, November 11th. Yeah, November 11th is the last day of updates for 23H2. So after that date, there will be no more updates. Ooh, a bowl of fruit. Yeah, I've been going after fruit today. A lot of fruit. But anyway, I was about to say about the plan with how I'm going to handle the transition. So, on the weekend of November 8th and November 9th, on that weekend, I will start the I'll start the transfer. I'll start the transition. By down. We'll come on Saturday the 8th, and then I'll just the night before I'll remove the block that I applied in the registry that stops the feature updates from being forcefully installed. Yeah, I've seen at the beginning of the year, Microsoft started force installing 24H2 on more compatible devices. But I've seen how bad it was on my part, so I reverted it back and blocked it from being forcefully installed. And just blocking the feature updates was, of course, important, not just blocking all updates, because I still need the important security updates. So, of course, I still got those, as I have been. And then I've already decided the fate of... So that Inspiron in that other room will be going to Linux. It will be going to Linux entirely when I get back home at some point. Yeah, at some point when I get home. Probably right after I get the Optiplex into service. And then regarding the XPS, it actually meets almost all of Windows 11's requirements but the processor. It's only a 5th generation Intel i5. But I was thinking, if it has a TPM 2.0 chip, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to mind it being on Windows 11. Because I've shown a few months ago, about a month or so ago, I showed eBay listings of those PCs, of other PCs of that same model that have Windows 11 on them, despite it being against Microsoft's requirements. And I was thinking, but then I was also thinking about the possibility of Microsoft stopping security updates on Windows 11 on unsupported devices. So if that's the route Microsoft is going, then that computer too will be going on Ubuntu once Windows 10's end of support comes. But we're going to find that out for sure when Microsoft releases 25H2. When Microsoft releases 25H2 in the fall. But I'm furthermore excited about the...
Just try and get me now.
I've gotten a first look at the betas of iOS 26, and I'm very impressed by how Apple's going to transform the iPad. It's going to turn it into like a... It's going to turn it into like a mini Mac. Yeah, like a miniature Mac or Mac Mobile. I guess I could call it Mac Mobile. So I mean, I'm gonna get sort of the experience of Mac OS on an iPad. So that's gonna be pretty exciting to see. So I can't wait to see how well this thing performs with the liquid glass when it comes out. But yeah, the public beta will be coming out in a few weeks, I believe. But of course, Apple still has still got some bugs and quirks to work out, including thermal problems with some iPhones. Of course, that's and lag. Of course, that's normal when it comes to beta releases of a new OS. So of course, betas are never perfect. But then again, I'm actually furthermore excited to see. Oh, that's right, I don't have another pawn out. I'm actually furthermore excited to see the. It's kind of like we're getting the transparency back for the first time since Windows 7, as that was the last time Aero transparency was used in anything. So I can't wait to see how well it performs on it. But sadly, my iPhone XR will not be getting those sort of updates. And I have been planning for it since I've heard the rumors about Apple discontinuing the iPhone X line from iOS 26. So I've been planning for an upgrade, and now and soon it's gonna be made official. So our upcoming trip to the Northwest. So then after our trip to the Northwest, some point in August, before college gets back in, I'm gonna upgrade my XR to Apple's to what will be Apple's last year's model, the iPhone 16. I was debating between the 16 and the 16E for battery life and MagSafe. I'm still debating as to whether I want the 16E or not. But I'm thinking about going with the 16.
I'll be back for the rest of you.
Yeah, I'm still thinking the 16. In fact, I actually tested that iPhone 16. I tested the 16 at the Apt over in Glenview. I believe I explained that. I explained the whole story about. I explained the whole story about that. Why we were actually there, and oh yeah, we were there for a new microwave here. It's been here for a few months and it's working very well. I'm very impressed. I'm sure she's impressed by the way it's performing right now too, so. But yeah, pretty cool to actually see. And I think my station went down. Oh no, it's not. Okay, okay. Good. It's still running. Now, of course, I'm gonna go over and restart it later to add in the stuff for Sunday. Well, all the Sunday tests tonight, and then of course I gotta add in all the stuff for all the automated test stuff for tonight too. So.
I do hate regressive behavior.
So yeah.
What is this?
So
What
yeah.
is this fireworking about? Why would you have fireworks? Jeez.
Probably another update from the mandatory evacuation orders.
Oh, I've been following that in the iPod's WEA server.
Board.
Oh yeah, the secluded Fox thing. If I go to iPod's Cap Archive, it should be there with the full message.
Yes.
Yep,
I'm
there.
listening to
Yeah,
that,
there it
yes.
is. So I can press view alert, and it reads: Grass Valley should evacuate due to a fast-moving wildfire. So we get, as I expected, a wildfire evacuation. Alright, so I wonder if that was everything. So the Optiplex, looking to get that into service. I'm gonna look into getting that into service next week. I'm gonna put Linux on that Inspiron 5520 and possibly the XPS if Microsoft blocks security updates on Windows 11 on unsupported devices, starting with 25H2 when it releases this fall. And then how I'm gonna transition away from 23H2. Alright, where was I? So what did I talk? Let's see. What did I discuss already?
You're talking about the system.
That's right. That's what. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. I was just about to say that. So then I talked about already how I plan to transition away from 23H2 when Microsoft ends security updates for it in November, about a month after Windows 10. And now that I'm looking to get 16, just the standard 16 instead of the 16E. So yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what the iPhone 16 will be like with the camera slider, and I'm gonna get Apple, and I'm actually going to get an AI smartphone for the first time. I mean, Microsoft had the Copilot Plus PCs out for a while, and I've seen so many ads from it. Let's see, just showing us this TV, and looks like Comcast cable.
No, it's Xfinity now.
Yeah, Xfinity now on. Yeah, on the Roku stick that Southern PA likes to rant about a lot.
At least I got my Winter Channel. That's fine with me.
Yep. Especially with my grandma's Roku stick, because when I tried to put AFV on there, the remote control wasn't even working, wasn't even being detected by the stick, not even the batteries. Like, while the remote control seemed to be on, it just wasn't sending a signal from the stick to the stick on the back of the TV. I even put the remote control directly at the stick, and yet no effect. It was just stuck on the idle screen forever and ever. And then Grandma told me she would get into contact with whoever got her the stick, maybe see what they can do.
This is the box to it. So
Yeah, maybe, yeah, Roku, Roku box. Yeah, as I said, my grandma has a Roku stick plugged into the back of her TV. Well, only in the basement, that is. Only at the basement TV. The TV upstairs in her main living room has the main cable box, while the Roku stick has the.
It's got the DASDAQ screen. I'm sure it's got the DASDAQ screen.
Actually, yeah, because you might remember one of my first videos, I think it was like an Amber Alert test, and I caught it on the Roku stick.
does get the Roku stick. Wow. Okay, that's gonna be.
Yeah,
something to
and
check out
Southern
more.
PAWX actually caught a Comcast Weekly on his Roku stick as well. Can't remember. You can't remember when that was. Let me take a look and see.
Keep it down, will you? People are trying to concentrate
Yeah, let me
here.
see what. Yeah, see what that date is. Locate his channel here.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Molly GAWX. Actually seem to like that name.
Inch by inch, mile by
And if I
mile.
go to show all.
I actually used to have Comcast when I was a little kid, but now we're just gonna do the Xfinity now, so we're just gonna do that.
Yeah, my family had Comcast. Yeah, my family had Comcast for a long time. I don't remember how long it's been since we've had the old Comcast. We switched to AT&T for a few years. We hated it, and we switched back to Comcast, and we've had it since then. But now we're considering getting rid of it in favor of going to streaming cable services. We've considered a bunch of options already. Something like Fubo, YouTube TV, and then my parents and I had like discussions about such, making sure that I'm going to get all my channels and just being sure I'm going to get all my channels, the ones that that I like to watch. Of course, our local stations, WLS TV, WBBM TV, WMAQ, NBC, WBBM CBS, WMAQ, NBC, WLS, ABC, and then WPWR, formerly known as My 50, now known as Fox Chicago Plus. That's where my 25 Words or Less Pictionary and Person, Place, or Thing shows are. Of course, WFLD, Fox, 32 Chicago. I don't care much for the PBS channel, WTTW. I don't care too much for it anymore. And of course, Buzzer and the Game Show Network. I was looking at the stuff for what was it? Was it YouTube TV or was it some other? I can't remember what service it was. But while it seems like one of them has the Game Show Network, it is not the one that I'm currently getting. It's actually like it's a secondary Game Show Network that's different from the actual one. It's something known as Game Show Central, which I believe is on Pluto TV, it's on Xumo Play, it's on wherever you can find it. But essentially, Game Show Central, what makes it different from the Game Show Network is that channel contains all of the old stuff. A lot of the older shows that used to air on the Game Show Network back in the day. Like, for instance, the old version of Catch-21 with Alfonso Ribeiro and Nikki Medea, if I can pronounce her name correctly, plus some other classics and failed concepts, such as Emo Genius, Idiot Test.
It had to be you, one of my own, didn't it?
Yeah, such as Emo Genius, Idiot Test. America Says I Know airs there on the weekends. That's a really good one. And what else?
What are you gonna do? Let the other teams catch
Yeah, a neighbor one of my neighbors across from me actually used to have Dish Network, but they too switched to Comcast. They switched to Comcast and they've had it since then. Oh, there's the, maybe if I switch to this account, maybe I'll see it, maybe I'll find it. I should be able to.
Nostalgic? I really like the Easy Plus thing. The Nostalgic. I like the Easy Plus.
Yeah, I mean, of course they've changed the screens, you know, from back in the day. It would be at the top, because I know he posted something recently.
Last night I was keeping up with that Parade show.
I was as well. Yeah, I was as well till about 1:15 in the morning, when then I finally went off. When I finally went to, and then I called it quits and went to bed.
Down again.
I saw velocities of 120 plus miles an hour.
Yeah, I heard one destructive severe thunderstorm warning had like 100-mile-an-hour winds on it. And there's a lot of the old stuff. Maybe if I just go down the 100-mile-an-hour, I was actually in North Dakota. And that was from the 10:42 p.m. update from Bismarck.
Keep it down, will ya? People are trying to concentrate here.
Oh, here we go. He's under a different name. He changed his name briefly. Let's see. Episode 40. Intro test. Yeah, I think it was like months ago or so. Like way before all those tornado drills.
Yeah, and an announcement. Southern Pennsylvania did change his name to Carroll County.
Yeah, temporarily. He's at his grandparents right now, so I was thinking of doing the same thing with my name when I went down to South Carolina, but that never came to fruition. I may be thinking about doing the same thing when I'm in Seattle, but out of all those times,
It has never taken me long to go far.
none of those had ever come to fruition then. You know, I think it was before, let's see. Roku, WXL 40. Last video before he changed his name. 2025. Dream Sky Radio. Was it Christmas?
Give me a Y, give me an E, give me a double L, O, give me a W, what do you got? You got go!
Oh, here we go. Here we go. It was November 6th, 2024. So this is when everybody was flipping to Christmas music. Oh yeah, and this was in the late afternoon when that happened. Of course, disrupting the NBC 5 o'clock newscast that they were doing. Yeah, I was saying 5 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time. So yeah, I think this was the second time he got it. I don't know if there were other times that he did.
It's a slider. You're out.
Oh yeah, that's that's the plan. Well, that's what happened with that. Or could boot up Evolution.
I see a bump in your future.
What's this?
Careful you don't cramp up, bud.
You look mom.
What is this? 50 ways to break a
If I
TV
really
or
got
something?
what I wanted, I'd be happy. Who needs that, kid?
All right already, Green.
Oh yeah, that's 50 ways to break a TV. That's what it seems to look like. I see somebody's making a scenario on a tornado outbreak in the Lehigh Valley somewhere, of either Pennsylvania or somewhere in Delaware.
Little Schmiddle, I'm still gonna win.
I was actually gonna do a scenario, but I don't feel comfortable putting this stuff on YouTube. I don't feel comfortable.
When the deck is this low, it's more difficult for me to win.
So my ticket, literally, with my ticket, may report the channel if I did that. I don't want to make
The
scenarios.
boys are
I'll
always
just keep
in
it to
such
myself.
Yeah. Oh, here was the. Oh my god, is this premiere still going? Started 3 hours ago. And this premiere is still going. My goodness,
Who is
this
person anyway?
this is Northern Louisiana EAS.
But not for long.
And this was when he found out that that Light Rock 100.7 went off the air. Went off the air because of low viewership, and Cumulus Media, their owners, sunsetted its operations after the low viewership, low ratings. Yeah, I guess low ratings is the word.
Yeah, one of my friends are known.
Yeah, I don't know if he caught the moment they took it off the air for good. But I guess we'll find out when we get to the end of this.
Nothing can
But
stop
my
me
goodness, a
now.
lot of this stuff happened at like 1 in the morning. Jeez Louise. Yeah, jeez Louise, a lot of these things happening at 1 in the morning.
Well, I forget WX does a really good job making this box.
Alright, let's get that fourth and final pawn out.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
I won't take that lying down. Hey, that's exactly what I don't need.
Excellent.
And I think what's on the
Sometimes
stream
couples
too, because
are
I saw
better than a couple
as I
of
saw
lives.
like a question asking if people prefer late night severe weather events or early morning ones.
Yeah, remember that cool winter that you had in Chicago?
Oh,
We're under extreme heat warning.
Oh yeah,
Round and round he goes.
yeah. I mean it was.
We're under extreme heat warning.
Yep, lots of the nation actually is under extreme heat warnings, not just here in Chicago.
Enough
And then
is
if I
enough.
pull up the weather Gov map. And if I pull that map up, look at all those heat. Look at all these heat statements in effect. That's a lot of them. And shaded in pink, those are all extreme heat warnings. And then the orange is heat advisory. Look at that. That's like a lot of the Great Lakes region. Yeah, a lot of the Great Lakes is under heat advisories and extreme heat warnings and
Drew was telling me he lost power for a couple hours. I don't know why.
I'm not sure if it's something to do with the heat wave. I sure hope not. I sure hope it wasn't that.
It seemed to be just fine.
This is what I call an express.
You're such a lucky
Oh,
boy.
high for Chicago is more like 85 to about 87. But I don't know for you.
Yeah.
I am gonna finish the game, right?
Not planning on doing nothing for July 4th. I'm staying right here for
Well, I'm not sure what my family's plans for the 4th are. But the thing I'm hoping for is that I get to see all those firework displays this year, especially Nashville, because that one's the greatest one I've seen.
1 minus 2 equals me winning the game.
And maybe one in Fort Madison, Iowa. Hopefully it'll happen this year, because I don't think it did last year.
All right already, Red. Don't feel too bad. Maybe it's a little embarrassed.
I'm getting nowhere here.
The evolution of the Find My sound.
Change your mind, bud.
Not a problem.
I'm calling. Nobody's answering the phone, brah.
Hey, Green, do me a favor. Shut up. And they're coming around the bend.
Enough is enough, Red. Don't worry.
Looks like
I'll
that's
be
it.
back
Alright, yellow won the first game. Now to play strategy. And then after that game is done, that will get our weekly dose of sorry in. my
But they led
goodness.
up to a big blue victory.
I was just having too much fun watching the video of somebody getting a Sonic image to work on an actual computer, and I didn't realize that tonight was the night these birds were going to be live,
Can't believe you did
and I missed
that.
like the first 5 minutes of it.
Rest of the game.
That's right. I'm gonna watch the whole stream from that point, and going on to the very end. Oh, there's that new.
Sorry, man.
there's the-
I'm the
Sorry
same
if you
I'm the same
did.
person who sent you bubble cookies.
Oh yeah, the same. Yep, the very same guy.
And yes, my account got disabled, and I didn't realize I had that account, so I had to use that.
So, I'm glad he's back on the platform again.
Yep, ever since somewhere like December of 2024.
Yeah, somewhere like there.
Oh,
Yeah, the time when I had DirecTV.
I believe this guy's done charging. Yep, it's charged.
Dude, why, bro? Alright. Well, I just watched a lot of season 5 episodes of Phineas and Ferb today. Because I know Phineas and Ferb came out June 5th.
Yeah, and Jeopardy did a little bit of a promotion of that on Tuesday, I think it was.
Yeah.
Let's see, in terms of Guppy episodes tonight, Sheepdoggy, Sleep Well, and Laugh Slaughter would be on.
No, let me check the schedule. You know?
Well, that's what this is saying. Yeah, that is correct. Saturday. That
And
is,
for Team Movies with me tonight is Subway Heroes and The Great Shade Race. And the following day will be
let me
Lucky Squirrel.
bring this over so I can see the schedule for myself.
Well, the KCH started like I don't know.
Kids Choice Awards.
Yeah, I watched the teenage version one because why not? I recorded it in other channels that were slimcasted.
hey, how about
And
a
they're
hand here?
simulcasting across all the Nick
Oh,
channels.
Red, you're
Yeah, like
always
Nicktoons,
talking.
Nickelodeon.
Of course, the main Nick channel.
I know Nicktoons is now Nick Lunch.
Well, temporarily.
Temporarily until like they stop.
Yeah, for now. Let's see quite some interesting ones on this list. I see the Cowgirl Parade's going to be on
Time to
tomorrow
turn
night.
this
That's one of my
trio
favorites.
into a quartet.
Let me see up here. Guppy Movers. And then we have Escape from Volcano Island. And the Balmatic.
Darn, I didn't realize Bubble Guppies is still airing
All
present
things come to those who wait.
ever since the show got canceled.
Yeah, ever since it ended. Yeah, they're still airing it. However, they're just airing it in the late night slots now. And of course,
wait, have you ever heard of the series called The Owl House?
the Loud House
No.
or
The Owl House, the one from
No.
you know the Disney Channel series.
I have never heard of that. And I'm not a Disney person, so of course I don't follow that show.
On Disney XD it's now airing like 2 in the morning, like during Team Umizoomi, like at.
Yeah. But I do see the Bubble Guppies actually airs for like 2 straight hours in the morning, starting at 9 a.m.
Yeah, he used to air like at 7 a.m. He used to air at 7 in the morning weekdays.
Yeah, it used to be, but they moved. Yeah, but they moved. Yeah, but they moved the schedule around. Make room for a bunch more Paw Patrol, Peppa Pig, this Gabby's Dollhouse thing.
This is
So now they
almost
just air it.
criminal.
Now they just air 4 episodes in the morning during the weekdays.
Enough is enough. Yeah.
Well, at least it's still good for.
Well, Bubblegum in my area, Bubblegum is not is airing like 10 a.m.
Yeah, 10 a.m. Eastern time. The schedule I'm looking at is Central time. So yeah, I could wake up to it like 9 a.m. would be the first airing. Which from this schedule, I see a few of my favorites are going to be on this week. Actually, yeah, a few of them.
Alright.
No word on when they're going to air Puppy in the Ring again.
I don't know. Like, I know it's like what
The last time they aired it was New Year's Day. The last time they aired that thing was New Year's Day, and it had not been on again since then.
And I know one of my favorite episodes is the second episode of season 1. You know what it is.
Or at least I should.
The Cramprix.
Grand Prix, yeah, that one.
Oh yeah, the Grand Prix. The Grand Prix. Yeah, Grand Prix.
Yeah, and that one I think is going to be on at some point. I see Construction Site's going to be on next Friday night.
Yeah, aka your favorite episode.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
Please accept my humblest of apologies.
Yeah, it's going to be one of my favorites. And that story segment that I've been playing around with at like 11 o'clock on a Saturday night, that goes to show how much of a favorite it is to me.
Oh. Well, Peppa Pig is now airing at 9 p.m. again. Just
Yeah.
like what they did.
Yeah, Peppa Pig's on. Yeah, in fact, Peppa
Always the
In
hardest.
fact, Peppa Pig's on right now. Yeah, they don't air some of these specials very often anymore, which is very disappointing.
Yeah, and it's disappointing that they. Okay, so February 17, 2025, it was gonna air the Umi Space Heroes, but they hold on. February 17th, 2025.
So,
Okay,
farewell.
we're gonna air
Ciao.
Umi,
Yeah, and of course I didn't get to see the.
wait a second.
Yeah, of course I didn't get to see the entirety of the Puppy in the Ring when it aired on New Year's
Golly,
Day.
I'm good.
I only saw the last 5 or 10 minutes of it.
The Puppy in the Ring last aired on President's Day, 2025.
Stop it, or I'll have to, well, you know.
And it
Yeah,
was
they seem to pick national holidays to air that.
Yeah.
They seem to pick national holidays to air that thing. New Year's Day was the last time I remember it being on, but I probably missed the airing. President's Day was like in the morning.
Let me check for July 4th.
Not too
If they're gonna
pretty,
air on July
but
4th.
effective.
Revenge is good.
That doesn't look like I'm seeing it on the schedule anywhere. Doesn't look like I'm seeing it. Yeah, that's pretty bad. A lot of the specials they used to air. But I guess, yeah, a lot of these specials they don't air that much anymore.
It's now airing sporadically afterwards nowadays.
Yeah, they seem to just pick random holidays to air it now.
Yeah, like New Year's Day.
Yeah, New Year's Day and President's Day so far.
Day.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
I know they don't air on Christmas Day. I don't know, but they also air on Thanksgiving too.
We'll see if they air it on. Yeah, we'll see if they air it on Thanksgiving this year. You know, we'll see if they do. But of course, even if I don't get to see the airing live, I at least have the episode on DVD.
Yep.
Because I have the puppy.
You know,
I have the Puppy in the Ring on DVD, so I can play back the entire. I can watch the entire episode at any time. So. Yeah. A lot of these specials I never saw when they premiered on the network.
Oh, Yellow, you're always
But
correct.
just seeing these episodes again. But just seeing it again in reruns, it's just exciting to see. You know, seeing how great these specials were from the standard. From the standard.
Wait, hold on. I found one of my friends who's also a teacher gave me this.
Let's see. Oh no, a Beavis and Butthead Comedy Central VHS tape.
It was her. One of my teacher's friend's daughters. She was not using it anymore, but she gave it to me.
She wasn't into that show.
Her daughter. Her daughter still. Her daughter lives in Texas. She still likes Beavis.
Yeah, I'm assuming not as much anymore as before.
Wow! I even impressed myself on
Yeah,
that
in
one.
that case.
Keep it down,
Yeah,
will you?
as many
People
of
are
you all
trying to
know, I don't
concentrate
like.
here.
I still like Bubble Guppies, but not as much anymore as I'm starting to grow out of the show's demo. Because I'm still a fan of the show, but not as big as previously. In my early years. As I've gotten older, I've started to shift. Sort of a more of another enjoyable field of TV. Particularly game shows, as many of you all know. Because of course I enjoy game shows of all kinds. But it's only the particular ones that I like that I get to see. Like for instance, Sale of the Century that was on Buzzer when I had dinner earlier this evening. Or Wheel of Fortune, which yesterday for lunch I saw the rerun of the old Wheel of Fortune episode on the Game Show Network. And Bingo Blitz, also on the Game Show Network. Tic Tac Doe, Beat the Bridge, which I think Beat the Bridge will be done after next week. In terms of new episodes, that is. So. Oh yeah, of course Jeopardy! And of course Jeopardy also on ABC. Person, Place, or Thing, 25 Words or Less. And Pictionary, which air on Fox Chicago Plus here in the Chicago market. But of course it'll be...
I gotta go now. It's nice seeing you once again.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Alright.
Okay.
Hopefully we talk again soon.
Hopefully.
Yes. Alright, bye.
Yeah. But yeah. All that I said was pretty much true. Because yeah. As I've said, while I still am a Bubble Guppies fan to this very day, not as much as I was in my early years. Because yeah, they've officially stopped making episodes for real this time.
Holding. Forfeit of turn.
Because when I saw 2016 was going to be the last one they would ever make, I thought that people thought that was it, but it seemed like I got quite a surprise when I found out they would be coming back in 2019. Just a random morning in high school, I go through my YouTube feed and I find a promotion saying that my favorite show would be coming back for another for a 5th season. After what many thought they wouldn't get a season 5, but I'm surprised they did. I saw an episode of it and I did like it, but when I looked at the rest of the format, I wasn't too impressed.
Hooray for yellow! Hooray for yellow! Hooray for yellow! Yahoo!
I mean, I like the
Somebody call 911.
I like the
think he's
original
hurt.
format better than the later one, because the original format was what made the show what it was. I mean, it just made the show enjoyable for all. But as I've said, I'm a big fan of game shows now, because, as I've just mentioned, I've grown out of the show's demographic. So that's pretty much natural with, people like myself, as I get older. I tend to steer away from shows like that and go on to more, something that's more enjoyable, as an adult. Of course, game shows are, of course, the particular example in my case. All the game shows I just mentioned, Sail of the Century, Wheel of Fortune, Concentration, Jeopardy, all of those are ones that I enjoy. Those are ones I enjoy the most. If I'm all caught up on my shows, I could just put on Buzzer or Game Show Network and just take a little bit of time and just see what kind of game shows that are on. But of course, just because I'm not a big fan, not as much of a fan of Bubble Guppies anymore, doesn't mean I'm going to stop watching the show completely. No. Of course, it's nice to maybe rewatch an episode or two, every once in a while. Yeah, every once in a while, maybe I'll watch an episode of Bubble Guppies again. Pretty much to give me like a sense of nostalgia, how significant this show was, when I was younger. So I could maybe take some time and watch an episode or two. But in pretty much all of those times, I pretty much try to overlap them with a bunch of chiptune music. That's right, my chiptune favorites. I mean, there's so many of them, I do not want to waste my time naming them all. I have so much in my collection. Oh yeah, I can name a few right now. The Blue Jumping Ray, Time, and the Dancing Cherubim, which we used for today's edition of the Street View series. This week being Pulaski Road in the Opposite Direction. Now, I had to re-upload the video, and of course you could see in the description. Let's get the video so it doesn't lag like crazy. Oh gosh, he's going crazy with that bird again. But anyway, yeah, it'd be nice to watch an episode or two, every once in a while, but pretty much all the time, no. I'm never gonna try to be. I'm never even in my life gonna try to become something like Childish Dad. Yeah, the father of a couple who is obsessed with baby shows of all kinds. Well, as for me, I'm obsessed with game shows. I'm obsessed with game shows now. I mean, there's a lot of game shows I like, even some that aren't even on TV anymore, have been recreated by some fans, some game show fans. I mean, lots of them. I mean, just a lot of them, and I'm impressed of all the work they have done. I mean, there's a lot of them I can name. I just mentioned a lot of them. Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, Tic-Tac-Doe. What else? Of course, The Quiz with Balls and the 1% Club on Fox. Raid the Cage on CBS. Those are really fun. I always enjoy them. And but yeah, it's just those 3 weeks, just those 3 days of the week, and then I don't get any other exciting things on TV. Yeah, in the summer it's just going to be those things. I haven't heard any word on when Name That Tune or Beat Shazam are going to be coming back. I don't know if they're even going to be coming back at all. Because maybe what I may have just seen last year, or was it the year before, 23? Well, in any case, those episodes I'd seen may have possibly been the very last ones that Fox will ever make. And don't forget the lyrics. I haven't seen that in a long time. I haven't heard anywhere on when that's coming back too, for possibly a third season. Yeah, don't forget the lyrics with Niecy Nash. And I think there was actually a question on the Quiz with Balls that mentioned the same thing. Ooh, let's see. I believe it was, which of these have hosted a game or competition show on Fox? Yeah, it was Fox. And in fact, a lot of them I knew straight out of the... In fact, I knew the answers to most of them straight out of the gate. But Jane Krakowski was one of them. She hosts Name That Tune on Fox. Rob Lowe hosts The Floor, which got done with its third season recently. So, wow, 3 seasons of The Floor. That's impressive. I mean, that's quite impressive. Let's see. We had The Floor begin in January of last year. And then it came on again in the fall. And then we had another season right after the Super Bowl. So that means we're going to be getting another season of The Floor in the fall. Ooh, and that's going to go along with my main part of college, which I think, I'm thinking this year it's probably going to be a lot more easier, you know, once I get through my summer math course, once I'm through with that. Thankfully, I'm halfway done with it. I'm on week 4 of 8 of that, so thank goodness that class is almost done. And we can get ready for the fall course. Yeah, for the fall courses. Well, let's see. I think if I remember talking about it, I only have like 5 or 6 classes left to take before I'm officially done. And this math class I'm taking is like the next step toward completing it. But then the question then is on me. Then the question is me deciding a job, deciding our new channel format, and the future of my TV network as a whole. I was actually talking a lot about that on Thursday night's Backyard Baseball show, but I'll go ahead and discuss it again. So, with the plan for college currently under consideration, when I was making the announcement initially, I was not thinking about the college graduation. So I was thinking maybe after I graduate from college, this could possibly be the time to go ahead and, you know, retire and everything like that. So if I go through 26, if I recall, the spring 26 semester goes through like May. So it would be somewhere like May 6th or May 13th. Well, one of those times I'll probably, you know, maybe end up doing my part-time job one more time. Doing my part-time job one more time, and then maybe considering, and then I can start maybe get started on a full-time job for 2026 and then into 2027. So that's what I'm thinking as of right now. So that will be around the time slot when we start to wind down Playingfield TV, because it's going to be difficult to handle a TV station and a full-time job at the same time. But I was thinking something else. If we have the Optiplex be like a weather scan thing, we could maybe just keep the weather scan network operational, or maybe we could turn it into a 24/7 Playingfield TV streaming device. You know, we could stream all of the SPC Plainfield content that has ever broadcasted, you know, on Plainfield TV. Everything that has ever aired on the network, on the channel. So we could have it air every single sort of original content. You know, we could sort of air it 24/7 and turn it into sort of a 24/7 network. That's actually a new plan now that I'm thinking about, because earlier during the stream I was discussing the future plans, you know, the future of some of my other PCs with the upcoming end of support for Windows 10. Like I was discussing with I was discussing about the Inspiron in the other room, because it's not performing well with Asmara and the subsystem on Windows 11 on the hardware that doesn't officially meet the requirements, particularly both the processor and the TPM, I'm assuming. I'm gonna wipe Windows off of it and put Linux on it. As for the XPS, currently I'm looking to go ahead and upgrade it to Windows 11, although it doesn't meet the requirements. It's because it has a TPM 2.0 chip inside of it. I looked at the security specifications and confirmed it. So it's just the 5th generation processor. So if it has TPM 2.0, then sure, maybe I can go ahead and put Windows 11 on that 5th generation Intel. And I'm sure it'll run well because it has a NVMe SSD inside of it. So, and if it doesn't work, I'll probably just retire it from service. Or maybe just take that NVMe SSD, put it in that Optiplex, and then just have the SATA SSD that's inside of there serve as a storage, you know, storage hub. You know, it can store all the storage stuff. Well, that's what I'm thinking, but again, the plan, these are just possible thoughts. Nothing is final as of this moment. And if Microsoft ends up blocking security updates on unsupported hardware with the release of 25H2 later this year, if that's something they're considering, then I will just go ahead and put Linux on that XPS, and it too will be a Linux machine going forward. Now, as for that Optiplex, as I've discussed earlier, I'm going to be putting that PC, I'm going to look to put that PC into service next week, on Friday of next week. And guess what? That's going to be the very same Friday the construction site will be on, as I was discussing, as how you were talking about earlier too. So on Friday, that's when I'm looking to get that XPS into service before we come on for our Friday show. So, I mean, I still have to bring up all of the accessories, you know, with it. The monitor and the keyboard and mouse I still need to bring up. And I was also thinking about that Optiplex Micro. I mean, that has a wireless card in it. So, I was thinking, maybe I could just bring both Optiplexes home and, you know, maybe just exchange some of the, you know, maybe exchange some of the RAM between both PCs. Yeah, maybe I could exchange both of them. You know, maybe I could exchange the RAM on both. Because I was earlier discussing a RAM upgrade on that Optiplex 3060 small form factor, because that only has 8 gigabytes of RAM, and that's actually, I actually did some further research on the Optiplex, how they number their models. The 3000 series is the budget line, so I'm not surprised that it has 8 gigs of RAM. But then the 7000 series is actually much more advanced. This is where you get higher end, you know, you get more RAM, more storage, and of course, I don't know what else, but same thing with the Intel processor line. The i3 is the low end, the i5 is the medium end, and the i7 is the more high end. And then I'll say the i9, their newest line, is the ultra line of processors. You know, the more ultra performance based. So, if my father's school is going to get rid of that 3060 micro, I'll probably just take it home, and I'll just use and then maybe I'll just end up using the two PCs interchangeably. You know, I'm not going to put it into immediate service right away. I'll just probably use the two, just use the two PCs interchangeably. So, what I was thinking is, if that thing has DDR4 RAM, then I'll just take one of the RAM sticks. I'll just take the RAM stick out of that, throw it into the second RAM slot on that Optiplex, on that small form factor desktop, and double the RAM to 16 gigabytes. So then it would have more memory to, that I can run a secondary Plainfield Radio as Mars script and a weather scan, or possibly Plainfield Radio TV 24/7 at the same time. I could do just that. Because in some cases, Raymeter, Asmara, and OBS running on that other PC at the same time hasn't seemed to have worked out as well. So, immediately when the Optiplex goes into service, I'm going to throw OBS on there, transfer all the weather scan information from that Inspiron to the Optiplex via USB. And I say that because I'm just going to create a local account on there, because what I'm putting on there is Windows 11 Pro. And as I said earlier, it meets the requirements for Windows 11 because it has an 8th generation processor, and that is the media that Dell is providing for it. So I will just use Dell's recovery media to burn a Windows 11 USB and then install it on that PC. And then just create a local account using the...
I'm going to bed.
Yep. And
thank you for your help today.
Yeah, sorry about that. That was from the gardening stuff that we were talking about earlier. Now, where was I? I was talking about the future of those Optiplex. That's right. So, if my father's school ends up getting rid of that 3060 micro and that RAM stick in there is also DDR4, then what I'll probably do is, I'll just take it home, but I'm not going to put it into any sort of regular service right away, because I'm going to actually use both of those PCs interchangeably. I'll just switch them both out and use both PCs interchangeably. So, maybe I can just use the 3060 small form factor, and then maybe I could use the micro at a later point. But the most important thing is, if that machine has 8 gigs of memory, I can just take that 8 gigabyte stick out of it and throw it into that Optiplex. Let's see, Optiplex. Yeah, I was looking at stuff for that micro PC. Yeah, let's see. Here we go. Here's their specifications guide. This is what? No, this is graphics. No, this is processor. What are we doing? Show table of contents. Memory. Here we go. Let's see. So this one is also. So it looks like this one is also DDR4. So, with that being the case, so what I could do then is, like I said, I'll just take the 8 gigabyte stick out of that computer and throw it into that Optiplex, into that small form factor PC, and make it 16 gigabytes of memory with 1 terabyte of solid state storage. That was definitely the kind of storage I wanted, with another PC. But I mean, for a consumer, and especially a business, it's very expensive. I mean, if we double both of them, like I was showing you with that HP Z4, it was that desktop PC in the Cybit lab. my goodness, that was the most powerful PC I have ever used. I have never used a PC as powerful as that. 32 gigabytes of RAM and 2 terabytes of solid state storage. I have never used a PC that powerful in my life. The only powerful PC I've used up to this point was, as I've said, one with 16 gigabytes of memory and only 512 gigabytes of solid state storage. But of course I have a 4 terabyte external hard drive, so of course I can store more on there. But yeah. So of course the long-term future for that small form factor PC is unknown at this time, at this current moment. So anyway, I'll go ahead and turn this thing off because I'm probably just going to be rambling about stuff, so might as well just go ahead and shut this off now. And yeah, I muted the speaker, so you won't get to hear the shutdown sound. Well, barely. That's okay. That's alright then. So yeah, like I said, the small form factor PC, I do have a use for it. I'm going to turn it into I'm going to move the weather scan operations from that Inspiron desktop over to that. And that'll be used as a weather scan only PC for the time being. Until they figure out what they're going to do with that 3060 micro. And if they're going to get rid of it, I'll take the RAM from it and put it in that small form factor PC and double the RAM. Then I'll give it 16 gigabytes instead of 8, and I'll still have that 1 terabyte solid state SATA drive. So, and then I will definitely get the best performance out of it. Although 32 gigabytes would actually be better, because that's actually the maximum it can go, 32 gigabytes by Dell standards. But of course there's some steps that I have to get done before I can get it into service. Of course I gotta wipe that hard drive of Windows 10 and put Windows 11 on it, because Windows 10 will be end of life soon and it meets the requirements for Windows 11. So I'll just wipe Windows 10, use Dell's Media to put 11 on there. And then when that's all said and done, then I'll go through the process of transferring the weather scan information over to that PC and just run the weather scan on there, and only the weather scan for the time being. I won't go to installing the Linux subsystem because I'm going to wait on that until I get more RAM, until I get another 8 gigabyte stick that I can just throw into the PC, because it has a dual RAM slot. So I could turn the 8 gigabytes into 16 gigabytes, which will essentially double the memory of it. But yeah, I mean, the school really likes to go budget with their PCs. I mean, that HP has 8 gigabytes, that Inspiron, the other room, also has 8 gigabytes, which is the maximum it can go, and that other one, the SPS, also has 8 gigabytes of storage. I mean, 8 gigs of storage is decent for Windows 10, but for more advanced tasks on Windows 11, not so much. Because I mean, Microsoft is probably making 16 gigabytes the minimum requirement for AI PCs, especially their Copilot Plus line. I think I've seen Copilot Plus PCs go for about the price of a higher-end normal PC. So then what do? Do I want to waste my money on a Copilot Plus PC with recall and all this other stuff? I don't know. I just don't know. I just don't know. But anyway. So yeah, that's going to be the that's the short-term future of our Playfield TV service. But then in the long run, like I said, once I finish college in May of next year, which is currently the plan, when I finish that, then it'll most likely be time to start looking for a full-time job. So when that time comes, that is when we'll start to wind down Playfield TV in the live state. and I was discussing about possibly a new, all row fanning format. Now, the local EAS only format, which is what I should have considered in the first place, I've decided that I'll be retiring the national EAS format officially as of 11:59 p.m. December 31st of this year. So New Year's Eve, stroke of midnight, the national EAS format on my channel will be retired and will go local only going forward, but there will be some exceptions to that. That is, if I find a PDS tornado warning or any sort of rare product or anything like that. That's the only exception. Everything else will be disregarded. But what about WPLD though? That's not going to change. I'll still put in the monitors and everything, just see what's happening with the severe weather events and whatnot, but I won't be getting anything from it. Now, of course, I'll just leave it all up to you if you want to follow along nationally or not. But streaming it though, that's going to be a challenge, considering several of the chiptunes I have in there have copyright claims attached to them. So if I do end up doing that, I may have to unfortunately pull a few of them off of there. I guess we'll see. I guess with that said, that's it. As we are getting close to 10 o'clock now, and I still gotta get the station ready for tonight. I'm gonna get to that in a little bit. So yeah, I'm going to get to that in just a little bit. And then, I'll probably just continue going about my night and whatnot. So let's see. The plan tomorrow is Chili's for lunch. Wait, don't tell me beforehand. So yeah, I'll listen to that and go out to Chili's for lunch. And then try to see what we can take care of when I get back. And then that will lead us to Ticket to Ride. Now, right now I'm looking to do Ticket to Ride at the same time as we did when we started this one. We'll do Ticket to Ride. We'll get the KDKA test live, and then that's it. And then we'll end it. So that's the plan for tomorrow. And then Monday, I'm hoping to get back home in time so we can start Minecraft at 4. But I heard we'll be running some errands after that, so if that ends up, I'm sure that's going to end up altering the schedule, or the start time. We could start an hour later, but again, we'll have to see how long those errands last. We'll have to see how long they last. So yeah, we will have to find out. If we make it back like an hour later than when Minecraft is supposed to start, then we will cancel it all together for the week, and we will get back to it the following Monday. Or we could find a day to make it up. But I think with the very few days we have available, I don't think we'll have enough days to even fulfill it. Because Tuesday's when we really get back to normal, and that's when I have my math class. Wednesday I'll actually be off from my part-time job. And the same story goes with the following Monday. So that means we'll be doing the weeklies from home for the first time in a while, so that's going to be exciting. Thursday then back to my part-time job, and then Friday is yeah, I think Nana was telling me about that. Yeah, Nana was telling me the news. Well, let's see. Well, I try to stay away from the political news as much as possible. I just try to forget about what's going on with politics and just focus on the day. Okay. I don't want to think about that. All right, where was I? I was talking about next week. Yes. So. Let's see. Yeah, so Wednesday we'll be doing the weeklies from home. Thursday's my math class again. Friday then, Friday, then I'll be getting the Optiplex into service and other things. Saturday, then we'll do another one of our fun day shows. Sunday, we'll see what we can do. Monday, I'll actually have the day off again from my part-time job because, as I've talked about, my mother's got something going on that requires my father to be with her, so I can't be taking work that day. Tuesday, then will be Roblox again next week, and then Wednesdays when my part-time job would then return. And then it will continue to return until we get to vacation. So yeah, looks like we're not going to be getting Downers Grove episode for quite a while, in fact. So, I guess with that said, that's going to end it here tonight. So, thank you for joining us for the second round of Sorry, the series live content. And somebody's shooting off fireworks. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't think I saw it. They went too fast. Alright. But anyway, yeah. So we'll be back tomorrow then for... Yep. I hope you're all having a good weekend, and I hope you all have a good rest of your Saturday night, and I hope you all have a good rest of your weekend. And we'll see you again tomorrow night at 7 p.m. when we play Ticket to Ride. So, good night, everybody. And we'll see you tomorrow.